Alright, it's that time again. It's time to...
So I'm sat here with Nick from the legendary All Ages Records in Camden, and we're just going to talk a little bit about punk rock and just all things all ages and all things Nick. So I thought, I mean, a fairly obvious starting point, but I want to know your gateway into punk rock and alternative music in general.
Like a lot of people in this country, were influenced by the television.
Yeah.
And musically, television, Top of the Pops.
Okay, I was going to say, was it Top of the Pops?
Very, very important, yeah, for all of us, yeah. And I really think that Top of the Pops held the nation together. You know, we always knew what number one is. Yeah. Usually horrible.
yeah.
But we always knew, and I don't know, there was just something nice about that, I think, that kind of... Anyway, 1979, The Exploited were on Top of the Pops doing a song called Dead Cities. Yeah. Right? And Watty had a big red Mohican and dirty trousers, and I was so impressed. I was so impressed. Yeah. Yeah, I was so impressed. And I yeah, there you go. So there you go. That was my sort of breakthrough moment where I go, oh man, I really
what's this?
I really like that. Whatever it is, I really like it.
Yeah, and how can I be involved in it?
Yeah, and I want to look like that.
Question, I don't know if you'll be able to answer, but did The Exploited actually play on Top of the Pops? Was it live or were they miming?
I think they played.
I was going to say, it would seem pretty like...
Yeah, I think they played. I think
he
did Dead Cities. I think he played. Yeah. I mean, I might be wrong. Who knows? I mean, you know, there was a point where nobody played live on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, it was a rarity for sure.
And this is why some of the bands weren't ever on Top of the Pops. Queen were on Top of the Pops once, but they weren't allowed to play, so they never did it again.
Yeah,
because
they're
not they're not
feel like a lemon, wouldn't you?
They're not a miming band. Yeah, no. Exactly. But you know, I guess if you're new, then hey.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil, I guess.
You got the nation watching you. You know, there were seminal moments in Top of the Pops. You know, there was a moment where Adam and the Amps played. Yeah. Before they were even in the charts, they did Dog Eat Dog.
Oh wow!
Another influential moment for me. I was very impressed.
That's the Top of the Pops really was the gateway into.
Kind of. Yeah, we didn't have any alternative programs. We, and they came later. You know what I mean? Oxford Roadshow and the Word and all these alternative programs. We had to wait for Channel 4 to start.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To get any of that, and they were kind of good. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was there by that time. I was musical. Yeah. Yeah. So
you'd already found you've gone direct to the source at this point. So moving on a little bit. So came into it via Top of the Pops, John Peel. When you've arrived, you've you're now you found the source of punk music. What was your go-to because you're from Leeds originally, right?
I'm from Leeds originally, yeah. And it was the early 80s. And
that'll be an exciting time.
And we had a band called the Sisters of Mercy.
Oh right? Shit, of course, yeah.
From 1981, onwards, yeah. And there was a time when that was the thing, and that was very cool. Yeah. And if you wanted to be a hot, hip thing, then you would get into this new punk, which was called Goth. And I discovered Bauhaus before that. Yeah. Yeah, and they really spoke to me as well, yeah. So I and then with Sisters of Mercy and the whole Leeds factor and the March Violets and the fact that it was all centred upon Leeds, felt like this is what we should be doing. This is what I should be doing.
Oh wow! So there was a real.
So there was definitely a bit of a sidestep, really, for me into the goth thing. You know? Which then got really boring.
Well, that's with any of these things. I suppose it's you've got a good 1 to 2 years before, unless you start to progress from it and bring in new ideas.
Exactly, unless it progressed, and it didn't. It just got a bit more commercial, and bands like Fields of the Neff and The Mission. Need I say more?
Oh, interesting. I didn't necessarily think
I wasn't. By that time, I'm out of it. I'm out
you'd already.
And I did, and I went, oh my god, yeah, I'll go back to punk. I mean, punk, and then punk had been going all the way along, and I'd been ignoring the whole American hardcore thing. Yeah. And then I discovered that, and oh my god, that that was really good as well.
But I suppose it would have been easier to do that back then, like ignore a whole movement happening like in a different country, because like, I mean, obviously there would have been like coverage about it, but not to the extent of today where you can go on your phone and be like,
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, there's this whole like.
And also, I was in my little Gothic clique at that time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was all about that.
Leeds has got its own like legendary spots these days. You got like obviously Boom. They've got their whole like awesome thing going on there, and then we had the Well that's now closed, and it's been a bit of a legendary city really for live music. So when you were going to shows in the early 80s, what were like...
It was all about the Duchess of York.
Oh really?
It was all about the Duchess of York. That was the small venue. That's where I saw everybody basically. Yeah, that's where I saw all the touring American bands before they got enormous.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Offspring. I remember seeing before they were enormous.
Yeah.
In the Duchess, which was like a 250 venue or something. Just
was it like small. It sounds like a pub.
It was a pub. Yeah. It was a pub. But it was a pub that did gigs 7 days a week.
Oh wow. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It was very much a venue, a live music
similar
club.
To like the Unicorn, like where it was like
yeah, but the gigs weren't free.
Yeah.
It was all pay gigs, all of it.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then if the bands were a bit bigger than that, then it would be the university venues. So it would be Leeds University or it'd be Leeds Poly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Killing Joke played, they played Leeds Poly, for example. They're too big to play Duchess of York.
Yeah.
You know. They were the main two. I mean, and then there was pubs as well, and there was, the Faversham was a very important pub for in the Goth days and stuff. But I would say those were the main venues. I would say the university venues. They were certainly the ones I went to.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean the university has been like an absolute staple since like probably like it was probably there before the 60s, but from like the 60s onwards in terms of music, it's just
yeah.
I mean up until recently, obviously Damnation Festival was still taking place there as well. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to move to London? Was there like a great calling to kind of like to come to London? Was it music related why you moved here, or completely like?
I think I was on the way. So I'm as I say, initially from Leeds, and then all the things and all the projects that I had in Leeds kind of stopped, and I got a job in Sheffield, setting up a venue, and setting up a nightclub. Yeah, or helping to set up a nightclub and a venue, and I did that for about 6 months, and then I moved. And then I can't remember about it. I don't know. And then I lost the job anyway after a while. And there I was in Sheffield. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But I tell you, Sheffield was like Leeds in the 70s. It was full of opportunities. It was full of things to do.
Yeah.
It was full of venues that weren't explored properly.
Yeah.
That all had venue managers and big companies behind them that wanted to make money but didn't know how to.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
So it was an interesting time, and I got because I got pushed away from the kind of punky thing that I was doing. I got into jazz.
Oh, that is a twist,
right? And it was Cherry Popping Daddies and the Royal Crown Review. It was neo swing.
Yeah, okay.
And I go, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool. And then I discover that in the 20s and the 30s, if you listen to jazz, it kicks ass.
Yeah, man.
It's like,
like
really. I'm like,
it rages.
This is good. And then then jazz mellowed as it got to the 50s and stuff, and then it all went complicated and lost me.
Oh, so when it starts to get a bit mental,
I was really into the early jazz and the swing and the big band.
Yeah.
And all of that was really good. So Sheffield was a place where I ended up doing jazz nights.
Oh, no way. Okay.
We did swing nights.
Yeah.
Where people could come and dance.
Oh, amazing.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah. And that was really cool. And I did that for a bit, and we ended up playing the town hall, which is really cool. And with a sprung dance floor in a 30s Art Nouveau decor room.
Oh wow! It sounds like
it was
the
amazing.
Perfect location.
Yeah, it was swingers.
Yeah.
You've seen the film Swingers.
It's that kind of vibe.
It was swingers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I got into for a bit, and then I did that until that burned out.
Yeah.
Like these things do, and then I started DJing in London.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me why and how and what, but I did.
Yeah, that was.
And then
what
I'm
you turned up
I'm DJing ska punk. So a return to punk.
Yeah.
And the night was called Sublime.
Okay, cool. Makes
Because
sense.
I discovered this band Sublime that were just unbelievable because there was no rules.
Yeah.
And they would start a song punk, and then it would go ska, and then it would go reggae,
Yeah.
and then it would go hardcore.
Absolutely, like,
And
no
then
boundaries.
within one song. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, no one did that. The Bad Brains didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was amazing.
Through like bands like Sublime and stuff like that, do you see like a tangible link from like the big band stuff to almost like ska punk? Is there any sort of similarities there in terms of like energy and
brass?
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, instrumentation.
I was very familiar with trumpets and brass sections
Yeah.
by that time, you know, and ska punk was fantastic because that's what it had.
Yeah, because now you mentioned it, that doesn't seem like too wild a kind of like jump in interest, if you know what I mean.
No,
There definitely seems to be
strange.
a lot of crossover.
Yeah, and again, it was just all interesting for me because I suppose, do I get bored easy? Maybe I do, I don't know, but I'm always searching for some new sounds.
Yeah, magpie mind. You want to find something shiny. A bit
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's always been my thing. Really, is just like, you know, I wonder what they sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got a history working in second-hand record shops.
Yeah.
That's my history of employment, which is, I haven't got much of an employment history.
Yeah.
But I worked in second-hand record shops, other people's shops.
Yeah, which would be just like a fantastic way of just.
I really didn't take money away.
Yeah, you just like putting it right back into the business.
I had big sections of saved records.
Oh man!
And it got to the end of the day, and I would be like, right, I'll have this, this, and this, and this. Can I have those? And I wouldn't take any money.
That's what I struggled with doing, like when Church Road first started and it was more of a distro thing. I'd get the records in and I'd be like, oh, I really want this one though, and I want that one, and nightmare, absolute nightmare.
Completely.
Spend all of your earnings, on.
And I think, I think with this record shop, I mean, I still have that though. I still get that. But I want one.
Yeah.
I think I've learned now that I can't have everything.
Yeah.
But I still...
A harsh lesson to learn.
I still take things. Still take things because I might need it.
Yeah. But it's a good sign though, because that shows like you're still infused by your line of work. You're not jaded by it and like, I literally couldn't care less.
I've spoken to distribution companies, right, that ring up record shops to sell stuff. Yeah. And they tell me that there's people that own record shops that don't know anything about music, that don't care, that don't have record collections at home.
It's so bizarre though.
And I find that very bizarre indeed. I don't understand how
not a surefire way to like make loads of cash real quick or anything. So unless you love it, I don't get that. I mean, what's that like? That's like if you were working in a shop selling suits, but you don't wear any of them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you're just scruffy. Yeah. It's like, well, you wouldn't be. A cobbler, but your kids don't have shoes.
Yeah, you just wouldn't be. Your kids would have shoes. And you would be wearing nice suits. Yeah. Because that's anyway.
Totally.
Very odd.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a good sign that you're still excited by records and want to take them for yourself. Not sick at the sight of them. Like, get these away from me now. You're in London.
I'm in London.
You're doing the DJ nights.
I'm doing the DJ thing. I'm doing the ska punk thing. Everything's pretty much stopped in Sheffield by that time. Yeah. And I'm commuting down and sleeping on sofas and floors. Yeah. And things, which wasn't very good.
No, it's almost like, I suppose it's a rite of passage. I suppose though, isn't it? It's like when you. I think of early touring days fondly of like sleeping on people's, fondly is maybe not the word, rose tinted glasses. I view it through of like, sleeping on people's floors, and it was right then, but the idea of doing it now is like fucking never.
Well,
right?
Of course. So of course something I needed to move. I needed to move down. Yeah, was the deal, and. I lived on London Road in Sheffield. Oh. So I always thought I'm on the road.
It was foretold.
Yeah, I'm on the road to London. So there you go, and there you are. So came down here around about 2001, I think. Okay. So still, to me that's recent. That's really recent history.
Yeah.
Really,
like
feels it.
Yeah.
Even though it's like 20 odd years ago now.
Yeah, but it's no, I know what you mean. It's not like you're not saying like you came down here in the 80s or something when it was. I mean, the early noughties obviously is a different landscape to now, but it's not too hard to comprehend it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
No, not really.
The internet is more of a beast, but apart from that, it's not vastly different. But that must have been an exciting time to move. I mean, musically, it was quite an exciting time, really.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was the whole ska punk thing, which was really good and really posy and really positive as well.
Yeah,
which I really liked.
Is that what you liked? I mean.
But it wasn't entirely ska punk, but I mean, there was elements of that, and then there was the whole rancid street punk thing that happened as well, and that was all right. So it all kind of went with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was all punk rock. Because I recognised it all as punk rock.
Yeah. So you've never had any like sort of militant, strict boundaries on your like understanding of what makes punk music. I mean, I'm sure you have certain things that you would like. All right, it has to kind of like tick these certain boxes, but you're quite happy for it to kind of like think outside the box. And...
Yeah, I mean, I think punk rock doesn't have any rules.
I mean,
that goes against that goes against the whole philosophy of punk rock, doesn't it? If there is a philosophy of punk rock, what is the philosophy? Well, maybe the philosophy is that there isn't a philosophy. That there's no rules. Everyone's an individual, and you do what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right to me. Yeah.
That sounds like a musical genre that I could get excited about and be involved with.
Yeah, 100%. So what was? So I guess let's go to the very start of what was all ages, and you were working out of the market initially, right?
Yeah. It was a market stall to start with. I had a stall. My first thing that I did in London was a market stall at Camden Market selling videos. Don't ask.
Did you specialise in any particular like kind, or you just across the board?
At the time, in 2001, the powers that be knew that videos were going, and they knew what was coming in, right? But we didn't know.
Yeah.
All we knew was that there was loads of films not in the shops that you couldn't get, that were deleted because they knew that they weren't going to bother making them again.
Yeah.
So I just had this little niche time of like, oh, this is deleted, this is rare.
Yeah. And
we all like a rare thing, don't we?
Of course, yeah.
So that was really good. I'm doing the stall, and then I say to the management, "Can I have a stall next door across?" There was a pathway, and then there was another stall. Can I have that stall there? And we'll do like a punk thing.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, that's all right." And so we did that. So we started doing the punk stall, and we were also doing little gigs at the Verge, and this was me and Al, and that was really good. And then we did the stall until we had so much stuff that we couldn't carry it, and we couldn't fit it all on the stall.
Oh, so that because I was eventually going to ask what was
so that was the time. That was the time that I say to Al, we need to take a walk around Camden, and we need to see what we can find, and we need to start looking at to let signs and empty properties.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was curious about.
And then we were very lucky because we found this place, and this was the first place that we did serious investigations about, really.
Yeah.
And it was initially going to be half a skate shop and half a record shop.
Okay, cool.
And there's the Boom connection, which was Lecky was going to be the skate shop.
I was going to say who was the
because
the skate
he was doing his skate shops up north.
Okay,
and of course I know him because he was doing Wisdom were his shops, and he had one in Huddersfield, one in Manchester, one in Leeds, and one in Bradford.
Oh no way! I had no idea.
Amazing, yeah. And I think the day that we were arranging to meet him to look at this place was the day that his whole empire crumbled.
Oh wow! Okay.
And his partner disappeared with all the money, and
wow,
nightmare.
That sounds extremely rough.
So he had a nightmare. So he phoned us up at the station saying,
"Yeah, it's
not going to happen," And so that was when we realised, oh well, we've got to go for it then, haven't we? It's got to be a record shop. It's got to be a complete record shop,
And how did it feel making that jump? Because it must.
I must admit, I didn't know that there was a really good skate shop in Camden at that time. I didn't know. I didn't know. So and I'm glad that we didn't do it because that, you know, I think they were there before. I think, you know,
might have been some beef there.
So yeah, Three Amigos. You know, Three Amigos a great shop. You know, so yeah, I'm glad that we didn't do skates.
Yeah, and you just kind of stuck to just doing like one thing.
Yeah, the thing that I'm best at as well, really. You know what I mean? You know, I'm a poor skater at best.
I was going to say, what's your skate knowledge? Yeah.
I mean, I do skate and I have longboards and stuff, you know, but I was never a trickster. We didn't have many skate parks in Leeds growing up, not really.
Fair.
Not in my time anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But was it, I mean, it's probably a stupid question, was it a daunting jump to make from stall to shop, or was it fairly, had you already culminated this loyal following of people who knew who you were?
No, it was a very scary thing. My God, it was a very scary thing. It took, from me walking into the estate agent saying, we've seen a property. It took 9 months to get this.
Oh, wow.
It totally felt like my child.
Yeah, I could imagine.
9 months. Yeah, and that's because it's commercial, and commercial property gets pushed back.
Yeah.
So that if you want to buy a house, they'll do it within a month.
Yeah.
But the estate agent will just pause on all the commercial stuff they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I mean?
It just keeps putting you in the
because
queue.
It can take as long as it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. This is what we discovered anyway, you know. So they don't hurry with commercial properties.
Yeah.
Like they do with you at home, you know what I mean? Particularly if there's chains involved.
Oh, of course, it gets quite.
They can't. It's got to be quick, hasn't it? It's got to be quick. Yeah.
Fair enough. So obviously then you open up and then you have that kind of that kind of feeling of will the people come?
Will they believe it?
Yeah.
Will they believe that the empty room that we've rented is actually a record shop?
Yeah.
Well, I believed it.
Yeah.
And the first year or so was pretty quiet, I think. Really.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, by that time had the physical landscape already? I mean, because obviously at that point we'd start to see Napster and LimeWire and all that stuff. So would you even say by as early as then that was taking its toll on the physical demand?
No, I think when we started in 2003, I don't think that downloading and streaming and all that was a thing.
Okay, yeah.
I think it might have been a thing, but I don't think it was a big thing.
Got to.
Yeah. And then slowly that became apparent that people were window shopping.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. So you got a lot of window shopping for the internet, which annoyed me immensely.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
You know,
because I was interested. The other thing I wanted to ask was, because I wasn't sure. Because obviously now people who go record shopping, it's kind of like a slightly different demographic in terms of you've got people who want the experience of going to the shop, getting it in person, having the physical thing, and going home. And I wondered if that was the case from the get-go with all ages, but even back then you did have people just coming in to look at stuff to then go home and yeah, but it's always going to be the way. And now that we've got internet on our phones, it's the same. Do you know what I mean? You know, but all I do is embrace it and just go, all right then, that record that you're checking, I've checked. Yeah,
I've already looked.
Yeah.
On Discogs or wherever you're looking. Yeah, I've already looked and I've already evaluated how much it should be.
Yeah.
And all that, and I know how much it cost me.
Yeah,
and you don't, and the customer doesn't know how much it costs. So there's that factor as well that you have to. Do you know what I mean? You can't rip yourself.
When you first started, was it predominantly CD at that point in time?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now we still had some records, but it was primarily CDs. Yeah.
Okay. And so, at what point was it when you moved to the shop that you started to make the record, the vinyl aspect?
I mean, it was all about availability. I mean, really, it was all about availability. Yeah. That, not everything that was on CD was on record.
Yeah.
Anymore, you know, and so we were quite limited by what records were available.
Yeah, and I suppose the new stuff that was coming out as well wasn't.
For example, Epitaph didn't make records for years.
Yeah.
Epitaph started off as a CD label in the 90s, and why should they make records? Because it was that
Ferret
time.
was the same, right? Like,
you know?
yeah.
Whereas, you know, back, and then a label like Earache, of course, was an older label and comes from vinyl times.
Yeah.
And then evolved into CDs.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you know, and embrace CDs as well. You know, I think the longest the longest 12-inch single is Scorn, isn't it? Isn't it the Blue Room still?
Oh, maybe, yeah. Like,
I think so. So
Earache
got the longest single, and they got the shortest single as well.
Oh, I didn't know they had. Oh, well, yeah, it's You Suffer, isn't it?
Yeah, which is the one with Grind Crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they've also got the longest one as well, which I think was called The Blue Room by Scorn, which was Mick Harris's project.
Yeah. That's funny that he holds the title for both the longest and the shortest. Then makes sense, I guess. That it would be him. Maybe he did it knowingly. I don't know.
I think it was more Dig. I think it was more Digby, to be honest, in Earache, really. But that's cool. That's cool as well.
Yeah. So like, nowadays, like bringing up to sort of present times, obviously we've lived with digital, you know, for ages and streaming, and now we've kind of come to some sort of like happy relationship, you know, physical's not going away, streaming's here to stay, that's kind of it. So what for you poses the biggest threat to physical like media these days, you know, not being download?
I'd probably supply chain problems,
like stuff we've started to see like in the recent years.
And I think, you know, I mean, Adele was blamed for all of it, but it wasn't
obvious
all,
scapegoat,
it wasn't all Adele's fault. It really wasn't. Anyway, that didn't help.
No.
I think 2 record shop day drops in a year didn't help. I think all the major labels jumping on the RSD bandwagon doesn't help.
Yeah.
When they're manufacturing what I feel are pointless records.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single record shop that's a general shop that I go into has got a whole rack of ex RSD releases that are non-returnable, that they paid a lot of money for, that they lost the money on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just seems so wasteful as well, because I mean, another aspect that's becoming more prominent is like the eco side of it as well, and obviously, you know, generating stuff and the effect it has on the planet. And you know, obviously we don't want to, you know, see the records, you know, we don't want them to cease. However, when you've got record labels printing mass volume of stuff where it's just sitting collecting dust, and
I think the Taylor Swift story is the best, isn't it?
Oh really?
So
I don't know if I'm familiar.
Okay, so Taylor Swift, well, I'm not massively familiar. So Taylor Swift re-recorded an album, right? And they released it as a 4-album set, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Or a triple album? I'm not sure. Anyway, and they mastered it at 45.
Okay.
Right? And apparently, underneath the Taylor Swift Facebook thing or something, there was loads and loads of comments from people that had bought this record saying, Taylor Swift sounds like a man. I want my money back.
You can see what's happened there,
right? So obviously they've ignored the fact that these things are mastered to 45, and they've just stuck it on, haven't they? You know, and I bet she does sound like a man, right? And that's because Taylor Swift should not be a record artist, right? That's why, right? And they've made her global ambassador for Record Shop Day now, which
that's it, because it's
kind
like
of makes the whole thing a bit silly.
You don't want to, like, you know, like gatekeep the vinyl industry, but at the same time it's just recognizing the demographic of certain artists, because like you say with Taylor Swift, I mean, I'd imagine 99% of her fans consume her music through streaming platforms. Yeah,
absolutely.
So why?
And the same with Adele.
And they must make, I would imagine, a lot of money. They'll be in the top.
If they're going to do a format, they should do CDs. I mean, that's the format. That's the thing. I mean, you know, I don't. Again, but you know, vinyl is a new thing in the mainstream. Yeah, I think that's the point. Vinyl is a new thing in the mainstream. Yeah, interestingly.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so you've got people of, you know, early 20s buying their first deck.
Yeah.
Right, and starting record collections in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Or their late 20s, or their early 30s, or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is not something that happened before.
No, yeah, because you'd usually have come up with it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I got my first record player. I inherited my first record player from the living room, like you do, when I was, I don't know, 6 or something, I think.
It was the same for me. Like, I mean, by the time I was sort of like conscious of the world around me, like cassettes, I think were maybe still like the biggest thing, but like CDs were there. But everyone still had like one of those like big old, you know, units that had the record player on top, and my parents would always still like play a record, so it was still there. We're still familiar with it it wasn't completely alien. There's less, well, there's not less like tribes in like younger culture today, but like since you have the internet, it's so, and like, you know, your phone and Spotify and all the rest of it, it's so easy to so quickly discover new music. Most people's taste these days, they aren't so strict. They're not like, oh, I listen to just this. They want to go see, like, I don't know, on a big scale, like Bring Me the Horizon, supported by like Run the Jewels, you know, and then whoever else like opening it could be someone completely different, because that's what they're like used to. It's almost like playlist culture, you know what I mean? They're used to having such a variety. Yeah. I think across the board, that's good, you know, to mix it up.
I mean, if people are still interested in music, that's got to be good, hasn't it?
Yeah.
However they see it, however they find it, you know, if there's you know, you have to have that spark of interest, or else you're lost.
Yeah.
And you can have all the streaming services in the world and Spotify's and everything, but if you don't have that initial spark of interest, then you're lost, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. So like ultimately, that's kind of, if you were to give any sort of advice to anyone entering a similar sort of like path to you, wanting to open like a record store, would you say that is the most important factor, is just having
I think record stores, I think record shops, because we are in this country and we're not American.
Yes.
Where they have stores.
Oh yeah.
We have shops here, actually.
Yeah, sorry, that's ingrained in my head.
Sorry.
I got in the elevator on the you know, the subway on the way here.
Out on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk,
Okay. I think that the future of record shops is to specialise.
Yeah.
I think that's how you do it, and I think I think that we have so defined musical genres now that are so well defined that that's how it should be. Yeah. And I think that music is so big as well that to have a general shop, my God, I mean, you know, how big does it have to be?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't really be able to do the whole of music justice.
Yeah.
Unless you were, you know, in an amoeba-sized room. But we don't have that here, because that would cost a fortune.
Yeah, you must be,
right?
Could be making big buns.
And that's not going to happen, is it? You know. So I think that the future is, if you like blues, then you open a blues record shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you like, I don't know, jazz and soul, or you like soul and R&B, then you do a soul and R&B record shop. If you like reggae and dub, you do a reggae shop. I think that the genres are big enough. And there's subgenres as well. You know, if you're doing reggae, you could do ska, you could do dubstep. Yeah. You could, you know what I mean? You could stretch it.
Yeah, similar to you here with like the obvious kind of like, yeah, it would be weird if you, I don't know, if you had a classical section, however, having, you know, like you say, a reggae section and a metal section, it's obvious. The links are there, you know what I mean?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So have a USP, be it like, be a master of your trade. And
I think so. I think that is the future of record shops, and I think there is definitely a future for record shops. 100%. Yeah. I definitely think so. So long as records have been made, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the joy of buying a record from a record shop compared to buying it online is uncomparable.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Back that up.
Uncomparable, yeah, right? So you know, if you want something specific and you don't want to miss out on it, order it online.
Of course, yeah.
God, get it in before you miss out.
Yeah.
You know, but if you just want to generally have a look or whatever, then I don't think the internet is the place for you.
No.
I think a record shop is the place for you, with a person behind the counter that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. And making a day trip of it, you know, going out, do it, you know what I mean? It's like, I've like kind of banned myself from doing really any shopping online unless it's like you say something that I need to get now or I just can't get from anywhere else, because I was initially going to start just like buying a few of my favourite records that are quite hard to find off Discogs, and I was like, well, what's the fun in that though? I'd much rather hunt for it, and then if you happen to stumble across it somewhere, then that's like fucking the dream. Yeah,
bonus.
Yeah, and you get so stoked about it.
Yeah. And then I mean, the thing is also, I think, is to keep wanting things so that your wants list in your head is enormous. right, don't limit yourself, right? So that if you have this enormous wants list in your head, then when you are in a record shop, then there's so many more things that you can find. Yeah, that you were like, oh yeah,
actually, you know what,
I did want that, didn't I? I was going to buy that, but there it is in my hand. Hey, I want it, right? There's definitely that factor. There's definitely a wow factor to record shops that there isn't with the internet. There's no wow factor whatsoever.
No, literally.
You get the wow factor days later when it drops through the post. If it's in good condition, it's all right.
And even then, which, don't get me wrong, it is lovely. It's like Christmas, you know, you forget you've ordered something. But still, I don't know, I'm sounding like proper cheesy now, but when you go out and you buy it and then you're sort of carrying it around and you're looking at it on your way home and stuff, it is like prolonged serotonin. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No,
100%.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
It's a lot to be said for it, and the process of coming out and talking to real life human beings such as yourself. Well, thank you very much, Nick, for lending us your time.
Thank you, Sammy.
Friday evening.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, I'll be back again very soon.
Fantastic.
Spending all of my money as I love to do.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
All the best. Yeah.
Sweet.